Hey folks, it's Cement once again, and welcome back to another review. As you could probably guess, this is pretty random. I mean, I'm doing a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie marathon this month, but I'm being random with my choices of what to review. I'll try to get to as many as possible, like Death Warrant, Cyborg, Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, Hard Target will be on my birthday, Sudden Death, a lot of other films. But I didn't want to go on a timeline because be more random, be more fun. So we went from Bloodsport Double Impact to I was going to do two more, but I wanted to put this in front of it. Maximum Risk. Now, this is a so-so okay cover, but I like the cover that's on the poster, which hopefully, when you upload a video and you can put a poster on the video. I like that. It's sort of the VHS cover as well. I like that better than this because this is sort of there. But I like the other one. There's white on it and such. But this one's directed by Ringo Lam, who would go on to do a few other Van Damme films. For example, I believe Replicant and In Hell. Which those are two films I don't mind. I have some issues with them, but I don't mind those two. Maximum Risk. This is one that I didn't watch a lot growing up. And it was one of the Van Damme films, 90s Van Damme films that I watched the least out of. But watching it again, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good action film that Ringo Lam did. And Natasha Henstridge, I'm a fan of as well. She was in Species. She was in Ghosts of Mars. I think a film called Adrenaline, Fear the Rush. She's been in a few films. Not sure what she's doing nowadays, but I thought she did a good job as well. I liked her as an actress. You also have not a lot of recognizable people. I know there's one guy, Paul Ben Victor, that's one of these corrupt FBI guys. He played Mo on that TV movie of the Three Stooges that Mel Gibson produced. And he was also in Daredevil. He's the guy that Ben Affleck hits and he lands on his back and then lands in the subway tracks and gets run over. That's sort of like the first, well, I don't know if you say the first, one of the first things you see when Daredevil pops up in the movie. But Maximum Risk, pretty much the story is you have, right off the bat, Van Damme being chased. Being chased by these guys. One of them is Paul Ben Victor, these two guys. And a nice foot chase. Van Damme's character jump into this catwalk, and the catwalk breaks under. He's trying to hang on and breaks down. Some really good stunt work, practical stunt work. And gets in this vehicle that I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of like a motorcycle, but at the same time, there's what looks like a fruit stand attached to the back, so kind of a big scooter. I'm not sure what type of vehicle it is. And he just chases. It's a pretty well done car chase sequence. That's one thing I like about this film are the action scenes are very competently handled. Editing wise, practical wise, I didn't really notice any CGI at all. Real explosions, real fire, real pretty damn decent car chases and fisticuffs. Very competently handled action sequences in this flick. Ringo Lam did a good job with that. Again, I don't mind the Replicant in Hell, but I would say of the three I've watched, this is the one I liked the most. And it ends with this oh shit moment. What I mean by that is Van Damme gets bumped by the other car, by the car that's chasing him, and his vehicle goes off, and it's like, oh shit moment. It's a really good stunt, really good way they did this, where you see it fly off, and you see that in the trailer, and there's an angle like over here, you see the vehicle really high, just going all the way down to the ground. And this is not the right angle, but it's just a really long, hard fall. You're like, oh shit, he's fucked. And he is fucked because lands and Van Damme's character smashes right into the windshield and he dies. You know, wait a minute, Van Damme's dead already? But this is one of those twin movies that he did. He had Double Impact, which is my favorite of those. He also did in Replicant and this one. And you find out that the real star, I mean, Van Damme, that was the brother. Our main character is a cop, a French cop, and Alain Moreau, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And one of his buddies, his cop buddies, goes to see him and goes, "Man, I thought you were dead. I thought he was you." Shows him the body, and it's like, "Who is this guy?" He didn't know he had a brother. He didn't know anything. Talks to his mom, finds out that she had to give one of them up, and one went to the guy who's dead, went to New York, and while Van Damme, our main one, was raised and ultimately became a cop. And Van Damme wants to know more about this brother that he didn't know he had. What happened to him? How did he die? What's going on? Just pretty much, again, looking into the death of his twin brother. And they looked through records, and you have this really good scene right here where the whole place is on fire. There's adoption records and things like that. And Van Damme saves his girl, but there's another guy there. And he did a pretty decent fisticuff. I mean, Van Damme's beating the hell out of him with a fire extinguisher blown in the guy's face. He just pushed back Van Damme. He's hanging off the building. He gets back in and just really beats the fuck out of the guy. Just kicks his ass. Bah, bah, bah. Kicks his ass right into a room full of fire. And it looks all practical fire. It's not CGI fire. It's really well handled fire as well. It looks like it was a really dangerous scene. And I didn't notice any. I mean, I'm sure for the more dangerous stuff, you always want to have stunts and stunt doubles. But unlike, say, Knockoff or even a handful of moments of Double Team where you notice the doubles here, I thought that was handled very well. It was nice to see Van Damme kick the shit out of this guy, throw his ass in the fire. This is one of those guys that keeps coming back throughout the film. But still, I thought pretty entertaining sequence, well handled, well shot. I know one of my friends said that this is one of the movies he sees that you could tell Van Damme was coked out of his mind. I guess I don't know what coked out people look like because I never noticed that watching this, or really any of the films. I never really noticed them coked out. It's just what I've heard or read up on. But his I guess I just don't know what coked out people look like, but I thought Van Damme looked fine in this. He was in great shape. And kissed the guy's ass, satisfying, and realizes he's got to go to New York City and he finds a name and look this name up. And one of the things I didn't like about the film, there's this cab driver guy, sort of eccentric cab driver guy who talks his ass, won't stop talking. Van Damme gets a ride in his cab, and he comes back one or two times. He dies, which is honestly nice because I didn't care for the character, but I'm sure the movie wanted us to care. But I just didn't care for the guy. He was just annoying. He was aggravating. Always talking about how he wants to write this book and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, what, you think I'm ripping you off? I was ready for Van Damme to punch him. I'll fucking punch him in the nose, break his nose, kick him in the face to knock him out. I just did not like the cab driver guy. But he's only a tiny thing in the film, thankfully. But one day Lisanelli gets to his club and he sees Natasha Henstridge. And he finds out Natasha Henstridge was his brother's girl, fiance, however you want to call her. And of course she thinks it's her lover and ultimately goes, at least not yet, but later on he goes, well, I'm not him, he's dead. And the chemistry between them was alright. I mean, I'm not going to say I saw the sparks fly or anything, but because I like both of them. I like Van Damme, I like Natasha Henstridge, so I thought they were fine together. I mean, Natasha Henstridge needs to do more movies. I just really like her. I would say she's one of my favorites, up there with, say, Sandra Bullock, like a favorite actresses. I thought Natasha Henstridge can really play it tough, can be vulnerable, but I like her as an actress. I really do. She says she's going to meet with him later, and he gets with these thugs. And that's another problem with the film, is the bad guys, there's not much to them. I mean, later on, you have those two corrupt FBI guys. One of them is Paul Ben Victor, who we saw at the very beginning of the film. And then you just have these Russians. that are really nothing to them. I mean, that's, again, one flaw I have with the film is the villains aren't much. They're not really that memorable. There's really nothing to them. It just, they don't really have any personality. They don't really have any, I don't really buy them as much of a threat to Van Damme. Unlike, say, Chun-Li, Bolo Yun, and even Double Impact, let alone Bloodsport, or Fender and Cyborg, or even like Powers Booth and Sudden Death, or Ron Silver and Time Cop, Lance Henriksen and Hard Target, like that there. But the villains aren't much, which is too bad. But pretty much these guys try to fuck with him because they don't know that his brother's dead. They think it's him, and pretty much he finds out that his brother was, when he was in New York, he was growing up on the streets, and he became part of the Russian mafia. And he wanted to, you find out later on, he turned state evidence, get out of there with Natasha Henstridge. He wanted to go see his brother, the French cop, and give him this evidence and lean the straight and narrow life. But of course that didn't happen. They think he's his brother, so they try to fight him, but Van Damme kicks the fuck out of him, breaks the guy's arm, smashes his ass into the windshield of a car, which was satisfying. And I can't help it. I'm watching these older movies, and I just love seeing Van Damme. Even if he was coked out, he's doing a better job than some of his recent films, Sally. Just see him in his prime, at least physical prime. Again, maybe he had drug use, but physically, he looked great. I thought he moved great. What can I say? I'm a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. But after kicking these guys' asses, he goes to the hotel he's supposed to meet at. Meets with Natasha Henstridge. One thing leads to another. They get shot at. They foot chase throughout New York, or wherever they shot it. Get to that same cab driver guy. The cab gets shot to shit, and then you realize the cab driver got shot and he dies. It's supposed to be this poignant moment, but I didn't like the guy, so I didn't care. So that's what I mean is one of the flaws of the film for me. But it almost seems like, well, I don't want to say he's doing a Steven Seagal, but I don't remember a lot of movies. Well, I'm trying to think. I don't remember a lot of movies where he snaps people's arms, because there's these two other guys that get somewhere, and like I said, he snapped that one guy's arm and threw him into a windshield. There's another guy that's at the place him and Natasha Henstridge are at, and he kicks one guy's ass who comes in with a pizza, and there's another guy and just snaps his arm and beats the hell out of him, gets his mirror and beating him in the face with it. Just owning these fools. And that's where they meet with these FBI guys, realizes these two are corrupt, puts two and two together that maybe these are the guys that killed his brother, because there's this list that their name is on it. He says, okay, it's not the Russians who are really doing it, but yet why are they still after me, or why were they after my brother? So he meets with them, meets with the head honcho at this bathhouse. Of course, realizes his subordinate are gonna try to fuck him over, get this fight in a bathhouse. Again, Van Damme pretty much fighting the guy that he was fighting with during this fire sequence. And pretty decent fight. Pretty decent fight in the bathhouse. I think it's just as good, or maybe even better than the bathhouse fight in Red Heat. I would say this is a little bit better because there's a little bit more to it. It's a little bit longer. But entertaining scene. Looked like Van Damme was still in good shape. Good kicks and punches. And I miss these old school action films where they know how to handle action scenes competently. So maybe back in the day this didn't seem much, but when you look at films today and you look back, it's really refreshing. And that's the fun of going back and watching these movies. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do a Van Damme marathon. Just go back and watch his older films. I mean, there are some I don't like. Street Fighter. I know there's a couple others. Derailed is a piece of shit. Black Eagle, which sucks. But films like this are pretty good. And right after he gets in this foot chase and he's narrowly missing cars and he jumps and narrowly misses a subway coming while this other guy gets hit by the subway. and he falls down. He's hanging, and he falls right into this cop car, and he gets arrested. And then that's where he's pretty much brought to the two corrupt FBI guys, and he has to do the same for them. So they go back to France or wherever. Is it Nice or Nice? Nice? I forget the actual pronunciation of it. And they get captured in kind of a weird sort of almost out of the blue, where even though they're captured and the bad guys are in the next room, they go in the bathroom and leads to a sex scene. But I'm not going to complain because I get to see her naked. So you're not getting any complaints from me. So I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Anyway, they see that, hey, that's just a thumbs up from me. But pretty much it leads to him having to go up and look at, God, what do you call it? When you go into a bank or whatever, and you go into a room, safety deposit box. It leads into that same guy that was fucking with him in the bathhouse in the fire. They get in this pretty decent fight in an elevator. I like the idea that it's cramped, so they can't really do much, but Van Damme's doing the best he can. I like this bit where the guy's trying to stab him with a knife. Knife falls down on the ground, and Van Damme looks at it with his foot while he's being strangled, twists the knife with his foot so he's looking back towards him, and he pushes his back so that the knife embeds in the guy's foot. So imagine on the ground, he's moving the knife here, from here to here, and he takes his foot and just goes right into the guy's foot, at the front of his foot. The guy's screaming, ah, and then Van Damme gets it, just stabs the shit out of him. I like that. That was a pretty entertaining little fight that they had there. And really quickly, he gets out, and it leads to the other cops knowing, okay, that's one of ours. And the Russian bad guy having his partner that we saw at the beginning of the film in a van. And Van Damme, he had mentioned before to Natasha Henstridge, he used to be in the military, he was a sniper, so there's a gun he has, and he had that nice shot. It's not here, but you saw in a lot of the other posters and trailer, that shot that just POV goes towards him and then goes right from him all the way to the windshield of the van, boom, headshot into the henchman behind the wheel. And it goes up, it's shooting the tires of the van, and it crashes. It's on fire. I like this bit that the gangster has his partner, and the partner fucks the guy up and actually lifts him up so that the bad guy busts his head through the windshield. And Van Damme says something to the effect of, take a number, and they just leave his ass and they go out and blows up. Again, practical explosion, no crappy CG, green screen, anything like that, which was refreshing. And then Van Damme chases those two corrupt FBI guys that has Natasha Henstridge. Get a pretty decent car chase through narrow roads up until crash into kind of like a slaughterhouse, because you see a lot of dead pigs hanging on hooks that have been sliced up. I guess, get ready to whatever food they want to make it into. And I thought he had some pretty decent stuff. I mean, Paul Ben Victor comes after Van Damme with a chainsaw. Right, you don't have Van Damme using the chainsaw, but I like the fact that bad guy's using a chainsaw against Van Damme. Van Damme's avoiding it, getting out of the way. He shot the one guy. I like this bit where he's able to climb up onto the hook, and he's going backwards upside down, so that he grabs a gun, and from upside down he shoots the hips and legs of Paul Ben Victor and takes him down. He doesn't kill them because they're FBI guys and he's a cop, and because when in the safety deposit box there was evidence against those guys, and before he left he told, take this to the embassy. So those guys are going to jail anyway. But you definitely made Paul Ben Victor's day bad, just shooting him almost near the nuts. Probably not quite, but I just like the way it was handled. That was really cool. And Van Damme and Natasha Henstridge go off into happy ending. More ways than one, I'm sure. And Maximum Risk, again, my only problems is the cab driver guy was annoying and aggravating, but he was only in it for a tiny bit. The villains are pretty inconsequential, which is bad. I mean, you should have good villains in a good action movie. That's why I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite Van Damme films. I wouldn't put this in my top 5. But I still thought it was pretty good. I thought Ringo Lam did a very competent job directing it. He handled each action scene very well. The fisticuffs were good to watch. Good car chases, shootouts. The sniper bit with the handgun, boom, right into the guy's head in the van. Good fisticuffs in the bathhouse or during this fire sequence in the first act of the movie. Couple good car chases, some very nice stunt work, like the catwalk at the beginning of the film, or when the guy missing the train, Van Damme's character almost missing the train. I thought they shot that well. Not sure exactly how they did that, but I'm sure it wasn't for real. But I thought it looked good. Natasha Henstridge, I liked her as an actress. It was nice to see her in that. Van Damme, I think, did fine. If he was coked up, oh well, I still thought he did fine. And overall, I was entertained by this film. I liked it. I wasn't too bored at all. And once again, this has no features except a trailer. But yeah, I liked Maximum Risk. I would put it as a bit underrated. Of course, a lot of Van Damme films I feel is underrated because really the only one people give credit to is Bloodsport. But even that doesn't have a special edition at all, so would that be because it's underrated? Even though a lot of you talk about it, but no. So I like this film, Maximum Risk. I thought it was pretty damn good. But that's just my opinion. But Maximum Risk, also that's a good title for a flick. And I just see what that means, Tampa Tribune. Maximum Risk is vintage Van Damme. I could see why that would pertain to this. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned for another Van Damme movie review in a few days. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.